Dobro utro for all of you. From Amsterdam, actually. You can't see because of my background, but it's sunny here. I thought in Moscow also the sun was shining the last day, so please enjoy. I hope today is the same. I would love to share my screen now. But before I do, I hope, of course, we can see all of each other physically soon again. So, yeah, I was asked to talk about the future of marketing. And of course, marketing is also what I teach at Rannepa. We have to think differently. Oh, sorry, what? Oh, we have to think differently during pandemic and also after. I think this is the main message. But nevertheless, I would love to take you through what marketing as a science is facing during pandemic. And afterwards, I would love to show you the do's and the don'ts, or let's say old versus new marketing. What did we see during, and what are we still seeing during the pandemic? Upstairs you see some pictures of the Jerusalem. I think on what you have in Russia, you have Live, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have Contact, and everywhere people are dancing on specific music. People want to copy dancing. But the same is happening also with the developments of e-services. The e-services, if you look at your education, everything is online. This changed with overnight, you could almost say. In a few months, everything was online. You can order everything online. I'm not saying anything new, but I just made a summarizing. For those who work, the structures have been changed. In some organizations also, the organization changed. But also what we see is a lot of talent is not visible anymore. Because everything is digital, you see that talent is being wasted because it's not discovered anymore physically. On the other hand, you see also that talent is, different talent is being discovered. And as the science is also rediscovered, we see that many sciences, not only marketing, are being modernized and adjusted. Marketing is a lot to do with marketing and communications, also online. And what we see is that the AI is also changing. I would love to show you a short clip because seeing is believing in most of our brains. If we see it, we trust it, and it has everything with branding to do. So within Russia, one of the first discoveries was how to change these kind of images, how to change it into a video. Disinformation or misinformation in a time when everybody is online is something where you guys as a critical academic or future critical academic need to be aware of. And it not only has to do with news, it also has to do with your own if you are behind a Zoom and you can adjust to give yourself a beard, or my hairdo is strange. I just click on some things, like here also, I click on some things and my face changes. And maybe you think it looks digital, but at this moment, it already looks more and more real. And it's only within a month or a few years that it's going to be part of our life. We will be hybrid living in this way. Many people already said this before, but because of COVID, it has been changed dramatically in the innovation. If we look at the science of marketing, and if we put them all on a table, like here at McKinsey, we see that some things developed during COVID. People worked more agile. People needed to be super creative during COVID to still find business or recreate the business. But we also saw that a strategy, a long-term strategy, is not needed anymore. So they went out. Everything was short-term. We also saw that some products were not needed anymore, or we needed to incorporate new products. Pricing became much more important because everybody was comparing online. Data and collecting data was super important, as you can imagine, maybe. About customer experience, I want to talk a little bit later, but this, of course, became less important in the physical world, but the customer created a new experience. So what will happen after pandemic? Maybe nothing changes, maybe everything already changed. Nobody knows because there is no long-term strategy. We can't look in the mirror and know all the answers. But one thing is for sure is that what we saw during COVID is that people were creatively working together. And this created a higher profit. It means that unifying within the company, within your own network, became much more important. And the estimates now of renowned companies like EY, Deloitte, and McKinsey, they all say the same, that will not go away. Working together, as I actually already said many times, gives a higher profit. Next to this, we have also seen that if you are more and more focused on the customer, everything becomes more efficient. The engagement becomes efficient, and it's more across a numerous of segments. So the audience is not just a big audience. If you multi segments come downstairs. When we actually thought that we were going into environment and into other developments of marketing and leaving actually the ROI, the return on investment part, which was a phase at the end of the 90s, actually we see that we go back to it. Not because we care less about the environment, because of COVID actually we care more about the environment, but we see that becoming digital, we can become more accountable, and actually we can become super accountable. So what we see is that marketing and the marketing directors go actually super close now with the CFOs because they can exactly calculate now, because of online, because of digital, about their profit. Here's some other examples of how success can be made, things what could be developed over time, increasing the staff talent. What we also see is that many companies during COVID invest globally. Every country has their own exceptions, but globally we see that many companies invested in their staff on all kinds of ways, via money, via education, via attention, via time, and we saw that creative talent was born, and we also saw that many talent was discovered, many skills were discovered. In the last few slides, I'd like to show you old marketing things and how we approached it in the, let's say, before COVID times. What we also see now is that we look to the same thing in a different matter. And I would like to show you different views on marketing discovered via and during COVID. So what we saw is that in the beginning of marketing, we were very focused on knowing the customer, but we see that we can go much lower in the segmentation. So because of digital, we can make little clusters, but we also saw that little companies, and sometimes even a shop, had to close during COVID. And the only thing this shop had was a few customers they knew in their database or in their mind. So from that little segment, they tried to build up a new business. So customer segmentation to a lower level is actually what became new. Here you see some examples of how EY estimates the future customer segmentations. And I will also leave the PowerPoint afterwards to the conference so that they can share it, of course, and you can read it afterwards. Also downstairs are many academic links for you to research after. We also saw that, competition was always there. When you want to fall in love, there is competition. When you want to shop, there is competition. And when you want to sell your companies. But at this moment, we see that the competition went to a different level. It went to the last experience you as a customer had. And because we can share the information much faster, and because also the calculations can be much faster, it is based much more on the last experiences you have. Next to this, we also see that because of this, a brand or a name becomes more important than before. The trust of the brand, but also the brand as such needs to be calculated and as a KPI. If we look at the customers, maybe you have ordered during COVID some things. I think everybody did order something during COVID. And we see that the 4 C's are important on communication also. And this went from, I didn't get what I wanted, until why is this box not nicely designed because I shop at this shop? Or if you look at the environment, why is this a shop, not a bag? Or why is this this box so environmental damaging? So what people actually see is that, or what companies actually see is that they need to listen much more to the customers. Not only listen, but try to implement whatever their feedback is. Another old versus new is that the customer needs to be treated much more than before. This is showed in the database. This is much more shown in all the algorithms. You see many people try to get out of their bubble zone because of cookies and because of your behavior online. People really try to get out of the bubble to get something new, but always stay connected to their bubble. And that means that you need to treat your customer according to. Another old versus new is that customer journeys become more important again. Normally the company said, oh, this is my strategy, this is how I'm going to do it. It's more that they now try to pick up the customer journey again and try to focus the marketing strategy around it. As I already told you with a little shop, if the people you know are your only customers because you needed to close, it means that you need to pressure them and build it from there. And relations you need to maintain. You also need all your network to increase again. So step by step you need to increase it, but also you need to take care of the current relations. Another old versus new is that you see that the flexibility and creativity during COVID of actually more and more the younger staff in companies. This is a Harvard research, is actually the new approach. make a very quick an approach, maybe a project, do it. Piloting is okay, mistakes are okay, all kinds of things which actually were not so common, also in Russia, not so common before COVID. But you see that they are now giving the floor and they can make these kind of approaches. Brands are all about trust. But also the trust is all about connections with what they see around it. How was the payment structure? How was the delivery service? That all of these things surround by the same brand. And also the brands needs to stand for environmental things or planet things or the country, because in many ways people care more about the values of life. And the final last, I would love to share this one, because what we see is that more and more the technology comes into our rooms. We work all at home. Most of us work at home. Some already do it hybrid again. But we see that the technical issues around our work are something which is now a new basis of working, but we need to balance everything. And the same is within the companies. It needs to be balanced. You see sometimes that there are much more cases of being people having loneliness as a issue or a brain damage because of COVID than being sick of COVID. And in the end, you see that the full C-suite is there again. I put there a quote as well. In order to make success with marketing, it needs to grow in a new direction. And this is part of the latest trends of the researches I prepared for you. The big companies, Deloitte, EY, Harvard, and McKinsey were used for this information. They are delivered and published, I think, in this year, in February, March. So you have the latest updates on the future of marketing as we see it now. I hope you can benefit from it. And again, all the academic notes are downstairs. So I hope you enjoy. And you were today with many. So I hope you also go and study marketing with as many as you are now. So thank you so much. And of course, I hope that COVID soon will end. We can travel and have a summer full of love. So thank you so much. And if there are questions, I'm open. If you rather ask the question individually via social media, that's also fine. As many of you guys already know. Spasibo большое.
Thank you so much, Bjorn, for a very interesting report and speech. I have a question, a short one. What is after COVID? Is it now or is it will be? And if yes, so then? And will it be changing in the future? So what do you think?
If you ask me what is after COVID?
When we say after COVID, after pandemic, what do we mean? When with this period is, how can we define it?
I work a lot with WHO and UNESCO, and just to give you an estimate on how the latest update, and this is actually from the day before yesterday, Russia, including Europe, will be vaccinated in 21, Asia in 22, and Africa in 23. I have offices in Africa, so I have offices in Asia. At least we can travel to each other probably in this year. So for me, there is a life after I have my injection of Sputnik, or after I hopefully put Sputnik first. But even the injections are delayed. So let's see. For me, there is a life after an injection, because then I can travel again. After COVID, I don't know.
Okay, so thank you. And we have a question from the student. How difficult do you think is for students to study online as a teacher?
How difficult it is to study online? Well, I don't know. I normally have a portfolio of a few courses at Rankiks. I've been over-asked. I don't know how many lectures I give because you guys want extra courses on your resume. So you study more actually during COVID. I hope this continues, by the way. I think you all love to study digitally, but you also love to study physically and see each other again. So you have both, I think, in the love and both in the dislike. So you want to manage your own agenda a little bit. So that's why the digital is cool. And you also want to see and touch and hug each other again and be inspired by each other also. So that's the physical world. But I think Rankiks is already hybrid now, getting hybrid, no?
Yes, I agree with you, but we have a lot of questions in the chat. Are we losing some human values using this marketing strategy?
No, we are actually getting more human values. If you look at the researches, people put the human values actually more up. The only thing is that the digital innovations also go rapidly now. As you also see in Russia, did you ever think 2 years ago that you can order all the things you can order and how it is being delivered now in Russia? It's tremendous.
Okay, some more questions. You said that we lost talent. Don't you think that with the development of technology, it's just easier to recognize it nowadays?
I said both. I said a lot of talent in companies cannot be discovered because it's invisible, because we don't see each other physically anymore. So this is one part. This is a loss. And it's not only talent, it's also that you cannot see all the skills. But on the other hand, we also discover many skills. All of you will probably become future leaders, especially the ones who have a 4 and above if you have your market. If you look at leadership during COVID, and this is what all other speakers probably also will see, like Antonia of Amaze later on, but leadership is also being discovered in this period. Who is hiding? Who is just doing their digital work and goes on with their private life? Or who is taking charge and does extra courses? Like I have so many extra courses now on marketing and strategic marketing. So discovered and not discovered. It's both.
Okay, a few more questions, probably short answers. Sorry for the rush. Will it be possible to return to marketing strategies that were suitable before the pandemic, or it is not useful anymore?
Short answer, that yes. Of course, it's suitable to go back to long-time strategies, but we need to put them in the honeydeelnik for some months.
Has it started being more difficult to satisfy modern customers?
That's a good question. The loyalty, I think, is less because you're online clicking to another competition. It's a good question. Bummer. I don't know all the answers always. So it's a good question. I need to think about it.
What exactly should marketing directors change for improving relationships with customers after the pandemic?
Can you answer that one more time?
What exactly should marketing directors change for improving relationships with customers after the pandemic?
I think during pandemic, they already need to love their staff a little bit more, but they also already do. Because if you care about your staff, the product and the service already continues. What they need to do after is to continue this.
How much time it will take to bring everything to normal life after the pandemic?
Business. Good question. I don't know.
Why did you connect all these new truths with the COVID, but not with the era of personalization and experience economy, which has started much earlier?
They're all connected. It's that COVID is just something which happened to all of us and changed many insights. I think afterwards we can look at the question again, let's say in 2 years from now, where the lines of the graphics touched each other or not? It's a good question, but everything is connected in this way.
Did the pandemic speed up marketing? What was the world ready for this?
No, it did not speed up marketing.
Is the communication between employees better online or in person?
Well, me as a CEO of the Eye Care Foundation saw that my staff is much more connected. I have a global staff with many offices, as I told you. We feel much more connected. We had also many global team buildings. Actually, Antonia, who is going to speak after, she organized many team building sessions with my staff. We are much more connected, but I don't know if this counts for all the staff.
Bjorn, I have a lot of new questions, but we are out of time. Dear students, I think we will do the following. I will pass all your questions to Bjorn, and I will ask Bjorn to answer it in short. And then after that, probably before the end of the conference, I will download these answers to chat.
Спасибо большое, Ivan. And I saw also many of my students, so you can also ask them in the class if you want.